Hey, I'm glad you made it here. If you enjoy these conversations, the best way to keep them coming is to subscribe. It's quick, it's free, and it lets me know you're out there listening. So tap that button, and I'll see you in the next one.
All your friends died for just being near you.
Scream 7 marks a deliberate return to the franchise's emotional and thematic center, Sidney Prescott and the family trauma she has carried for decades. Where recent sequels experimented with meta-commentary and fresh blood, this installment explicitly recenters Campbell's Sidney as both survivor and symbol. The film trades some of the franchise's brisk novelty for a nostalgia-driven study in legacy, memory, and the ways technology can warp both. From the outset, Scream 7 positions itself as a homecoming, an attempt to honor the original while interrogating how horror evolves when its villains harness modern tools for ancient cruelties. At the heart of the film is the return of Ghostface, the franchise's protean antagonist, now amplified by a key contemporary threat: AI deception. Kevin Williamson's fingerprints are evident in the script's attempts to evoke the familiar blast from the past feeling. Echoes of the original's thrill, its conversational slasher rules, and the intimate dread of a stalker who knows your life. The narrative leverages two old suspects, Stu Macker and Roman Bridger, as part of a hauntology that blurs personhood and impersonation. Rather than literally resurrecting Stu, Scream 7 uses deepfakes and AI-generated projections to manufacture the illusion of his presence. The effect is chilling not only for its surface trickery, but for how it reframes the franchise's long-standing question: what makes a villain terrifying, the physical body of the killer, or the idea they cultivate? This technological sleight of hand is not mere gimmickry. The film posits Stu, and by extension other legacy figures, as pawn-like tools used to terrorize Sidney. The killer's weaponized memory and image, projecting faces that never return to sow psychological damage. In doing so, Scream 7 updates the franchise's recurring motif of media manipulation, previously explored through talk shows, tabloids, and viral fame, into the era of synthetic media. The result is a Ghostface that is less tethered to a single identity and more to a networked, reproducible horror, a mask that can be worn by many or simulated by none. Away from the spectacle of false returns, the film grounds Sidney in a quieter life. Pine Grove, Indiana, where she lives with her husband Mark and their daughter Tatum. Relocating Sidney to a small-town domesticity recalls the franchise's original geography and tone. The first Scream are deliberate and frequent, from visual cues to moments of dialogue that mirror the 1996 film's rhythms. Tatum's arc is intentionally parallel to Sidney's early experience: teens, parties, and the sudden rupture of safety, so the film can generationally repeat the trauma, while also interrogating how danger looks in a digitally saturated world. Tatum occupies the narrative's focal point for much of the middle act. Ghostface's attention pivots to her and her social circle, and the film relishes the meta moments where teenagers discuss slasher rules with the weary worldliness audiences associate with the franchise. This self-reflexivity is classic Scream. Characters name tropes while becoming trapped by them. The discovery that the first Ghostface killer encountered in the film is actually an escaped patient from F. Brooke Psychiatric Hospital adds a grim institutional twist, an explanation that toys with expectation without fully satisfying it. It also introduces Marco at F. Brooke, steering characters and viewers toward a tantalizing but ultimately false lead about Stu's involvement. The film plays these red herrings skillfully enough to maintain suspense while layering in technological deceit. As the plot progresses, the presence of multiple Ghostface perpetrators is revealed, complicating suspects and motivations. The structure, multiple killers with intersecting agenda, serves two purposes. It keeps the identity game alive for audiences and doubles down on the film's theme of replication. When two more killers emerge, the film makes clear that Ghostface is no longer a singular pathological performative act, but a collaborative enterprise, leveraging both physical brutality and psychological warfare. The killer's motives and the climax crystallize Scream 7's thematic preoccupations. The teen ensemble, deeply conversant in horror lore, gather and parse slasher rules, a meta-discussion that becomes haunting when those rules are used against them. Tatum suspects Ben, and his subsequent death underscores how suspicion and paranoia can be weaponized in a closed circle. Tatum's kidnapping and return home intensify the personal stakes and set the stage for the unmasking. Jessica and Marco are revealed as the primary architects. Their methods are modern: AI projections of past killers, deepfake footage, and a programmatic understanding of how to weaponize image to manipulate memory and behavior. Jessica's motive is intimately tied to Sidney's public life, an obsessive reading of Sidney's memoir Out of Darkness, and a mental collapse fueled by Sidney's retreat from the spotlight. Her compulsion is framed as both fan worship and parasitic ownership. She wants to preserve an idealized Sidney and will recreate trauma to force that preservation. Marco's skills as a Google security specialist with AI expertise make him the technical brain of the operation. His knowledge explains how the killers accessed, faked, and distributed the synthetic media that haunts Sidney. Carl's presence, an institutionalized patient with a violent past, fills the role of the physical enforcer, the one who turns simulated terror into corporeal danger. The climax is a chaotic, emotionally fraught sequence. Jessica attempts to engineer a moment where Tatum witnesses Sidney's murder, a grotesque theatricality meant to birth a Sidney 2.0 through trauma. The plan collapses in violence and counterattack. Carl is run over, Marco is shot, and Jessica is ultimately shot by Sidney and Tatum. The deaths are brutal, but narratively necessary. They dismantle the killer's conflation of image and personhood. Mindy and Chad survive the ordeal, and their survival provides continuity with recent franchise entries, while underscoring the film's insistence on communal endurance. In a quieter coda, Sidney and Tatum share a conversation about names, legacy, and what it means to be a namesake, a moment that reframes the entire narrative as an odyssey about inheritance and the ethics of storytelling. Scream 7's body count is significant, and the film does not shy from listing its casualties. Among the named dead are Scott and Madison, Hannah and Chloe Parker, Ben and Lucas, with Lucas revealed as Jessica's son, and the 3 Ghostface killers. The losses serve the dual function of increasing dramatic weight and interrogating the cost of mythic cycles. Who pays when a narrative keeps repeating itself? Yet the film leaves several unresolved questions that sharpen its central anxieties. How did Ghostface know the security code to Little Latte? And how were the killers so familiar with Sidney's home? These lacunae feel intentional, reflecting the film's thematic center. In a world of simulated image and data leaks, privacy is porous, and intimacy is vulnerable. Scream 7 makes AI the narrative focal point, not merely as a plot device, but as a philosophical concern. Where earlier Scream films critiqued fame, voyeurism, and media sensationalism, this entry updates the critique to include synthetic authenticity. Identity can be reproduced, fame can be fabricated, and consent can be manufactured. The film compares and contrasts these modern threats with the franchise's prior themes, suggesting that the real horror now is the erosion of the boundary between representation and reality. Sidney Prescott's comeback is thus tied to broader societal themes: the public's hunger for spectacle, the moral rot of parasitic fandom, and the ways technology can amplify both. The film winks at Campbell's absence from the previous entry, implicitly acknowledging the real-world drama behind casting while integrating it into the narrative arc. Sidney's withdrawal from public life becomes a plot point, not mere behind-the-scenes footnote. This meta-layering raises an important question for the franchise. Can Scream survive without Sidney?
Do you have a gun?
I'm Sidney Prescott, of course I have a gun.
Past sequels have tried to elevate new protagonists, Sam, Tara, Tatum, as inheritors of the mantle, but Scream 7 argues that Sidney remains essential, both emotionally and thematically. While natural successors exist in the franchise's younger characters, the film signals that Sidney's story is not finished. Her return is presented less as a stunt and more as a necessary reckoning. The post-credits moments and the film's final beats tease future possibilities. During the credits, Gale offers Mindy a chance to host a new broadcast, a small but meaningful gesture that suggests the narrative world will continue to evolve and pivot around new media forms. Brief character moments that include actors' names function as affectionate nods to the cast, while also reinforcing the franchise's reflexivity. The closing suggestion, that Ghostface may return for an 8th installment, is both marketing and thematic. As long as cultural appetites and technological anxieties persist, the mask will find faces to wear. Ultimately, Scream 7 is a film about the persistence of stories and the new dangers that emerge when storytelling tools themselves become weapons. Its strength lies in marrying franchise nostalgia with a contemporary critique of AI and image manipulation. The return of Sidney Prescott provides emotional ballast. The villainy of Jessica, Marco, and their cohorts brings the threat firmly into the present. The film does not always answer every logistical question, but its unanswered beats often function as warnings. In an era where likenesses can be faked and trauma can be curated, survivors must also become custodians of truth. For viewers invested in Sidney's arc and the franchise's exploration of media and violence, Scream 7 is a satisfying, if imperfect, continuation. It acknowledges the franchise's past while insisting that new iterations must reckon with modern technologies that complicate identity, memory, and justice. Whether the series can sustain itself indefinitely without Sidney is left open, but Scream 7 makes clear that for now, the original survivor is not ready to step off the stage. The film concludes both as a cautionary tale about synthetic replication and as a reaffirmation that human resistance, embodied by Sidney and those who survive with her, remains the most powerful counter to manufactured terror.